In anything we do with regards to chess, the most important idea that we are always trying to do something about is it's like being able to make decisions much easier. So one of the tools that we use is the concept of forcing moves. So if you look at the moves that we normally look for first, they are checks, captures, and threats. The common element behind them is that they are all forcing moves. In this position, it's a classic example. It's in a Capablanca game where he utilizes the idea of forcing moves to actually win an important pawn in a series of consecutive moves. So his first move here is knight c3. The idea is behind it is that the knight cannot take, because if it does, then the rook takes with check first, and then after the king moves, then he takes the knight. So this is not an option. And he's attacking the rook, which is also quite forcing, so the rook has to move. At the same time, the rook cannot leave the protection of the a pawn, because let's say if you go rook here, then the pawn falls. So you cannot afford to leave the pawn. You're forced to move the rook to c5. Now after knight e4, we've established the rook cannot leave the protection of the pawn. So he's got only one choice here, otherwise he moves anywhere else, the pawn falls. So he has to move to b5, and after knight d6, again he's stuck to moving to c5, and after knight b7, rook b5, and then the pawn falls. So this is a very important idea and concept, which if you fully understand and could put it into practice, will result in a big improvement in your results.